I still remember the dust on my bare feet as I walked to school that morning. Our village, Akpoma, had one primary school with cracked walls and a leaking roof. I was 10 years old, carrying my books in a torn plastic bag because I couldn't afford a backpack. Chief Okonkwo's son, Emeka, arrived in their family's Mercedes. The car kicked up red dust that covered my worn uniform. Emeka stepped out wearing crisp white clothes and shiny black shoes. His friends gathered around him, laughing at some joke I couldn't hear. I tried walking past quickly, but Emeka spotted me. "Chitty! Bush boy," he called out, loud enough for everyone to hear. My face burned with shame. The other children laughed. I wasn't really from the bush. My father was a palm wine tapper and my mother sold vegetables at the market. We were poor, but we weren't bush people. "Look at his uniform," Emeka continued, pointing. "Full of patches like a beggar's cloth." His friends circled me, touching my bag, my books, making disgusted faces. The teachers never stopped them. Chief Okonkwo donated money to the school. His son could do whatever he wanted. That day, I made myself a promise. One day, things would change. After school, I walked 3 kilometers home, past the big houses where the wealthy families lived. Chief Okonkwo's mansion had a tall fence, a generator that hummed all night, and satellite dishes on the roof. My family's mud house had kerosene lamps and a roof that needed fixing before the next rain. Mama was cooking over the fire when I arrived. She smiled despite her tired eyes. "How was school, my son?" I wanted to tell her about Emeka, about the mockery, about feeling small and worthless. But she already carried too many worries. "It was fine, Mama." Papa came home later, smelling of palm wine from climbing trees all day. His hands were rough and scarred. He barely made enough money to feed us, let alone pay school fees. That night, I overheard them talking in worried whispers. "The school is asking for next term's fees," Mama said. "Where will we find the money?" Papa's voice was heavy. "I don't know. Maybe Chitty should stop school. Help me with the palm wine business." My heart stopped. No school meant no future. No escape from this poverty. I pressed my face into my thin mattress and cried silently. But even through the tears, my promise remained. I would find a way out. The next morning, I asked my teacher, Mr. Adeniyi, to stay after class. He was the only teacher who treated all students fairly, regardless of their family's wealth. "Sir, I need help," I said quietly. "My parents might not afford next term's fees." Mr. Adeniyi studied me with kind eyes. "You're the smartest student in this school, Chitty. It would be a tragedy if you stopped learning." He reached into his bag and pulled out some old textbooks. "Take these. Study hard. There's a scholarship competition next year for secondary school. If you win, everything, fees, books, uniforms, will be paid for." Hope flared in my chest. "How do I prepare, sir?" "Read everything you can. I'll give you extra lessons during lunch break. No charge." He smiled. "But you must work harder than anyone else. Can you do that?" I nodded vigorously. "Yes, sir. I promise." That day marked the beginning of my real education. While Emeka and his friends played football during lunch, I studied in the empty classroom. While they bought snacks from vendors, I memorized mathematics formulas and English vocabulary. Mr. Adeniyi was a tough teacher during those sessions. He pushed me, corrected me, challenged me. But he believed in me. That belief became my fuel. Months passed in intense preparation. I woke up at 4 every morning, studying by candlelight before doing my chores. Mama noticed the change but didn't understand why. "Why are you killing yourself with books?" she asked one morning. "Even if you read all the books in the world, we're still poor." "Not forever, Mama," I replied. "Not forever." Papa was more supportive. Despite his lack of education, he understood that knowledge was the only way out. He started giving me an extra hour in the morning before leaving for work. Study well, my son. Make something of yourself. At school, Emika's mockery intensified. He'd started calling me Professor Bushboy because I spent all my time reading. His friends thought it was hilarious. One day, he knocked my books into the mud deliberately. Studying so hard, but you'll still be poor like your father, he sneered. I picked up my books without responding. His words hurt, but they also strengthened my resolve. Every insult became another reason to succeed. Every laugh became another log on the fire burning inside me. Mr. Adenii saw the incident. After school, he pulled me aside. Don't let them distract you, Chitty. They mock you because they fear you. They see your potential, and it threatens them. The scholarship examination took place in the city, 2 hours away by bus. Papa borrowed money for my transport and registration. The morning I left, Mama hugged me tight, whispering prayers in my ear. The examination hall was intimidating. Hundreds of children from different villages and towns, all competing for just 20 scholarship slots. Many wore expensive clothes and carried fancy pens. I had my old uniform and a borrowed pen from Mr. Adenii. But when the papers were distributed, none of that mattered. Only knowledge mattered. The questions were difficult: mathematics, English, general knowledge, essay writing. My hand cramped from writing, but I pushed through every section. 3 weeks later, Mr. Adenii called me to his house. His face was unreadable as he held an official-looking letter. Chitty, he said slowly, then broke into a huge smile. You came first. First out of 800 candidates. I couldn't believe it. First? Me? The bush boy from Akpoma? The scholarship covered everything: fees, books, uniforms, and even a monthly stipend for food. I was going to government secondary school in the city, one of the best schools in the state. Mama cried when I told her. Papa lifted me off the ground in a rare display of emotion. Even neighbors came to congratulate us. For the first time, I felt like somebody. The day I left for secondary school, the entire village gathered. Some were genuinely happy for me. Others, especially Chief Okonko's family, looked bitter. Emika stood by their gate, scowling. As I passed, carrying my new school box, Emika shouted, "Enjoy secondary school, bush boy. You'll still be nothing." I stopped and looked at him directly. We'll see, Emika. We'll see. Government secondary school was a different world. Students came from wealthy families across the state. The buildings were painted, the classrooms had electricity, and there was a proper library filled with books. I felt out of place initially. My accent was thick with village intonation. My manners were rough. Other students whispered about that scholarship boy from the village. But I had something they didn't: hunger. While they took education for granted, I devoured it. Every lesson, every book, every opportunity. My teachers noticed quickly. Chitty shows exceptional potential, my mathematics teacher told the principal during my first term. With the right guidance, he could achieve remarkable things. The principal, Mrs. Nwankwo, called me to her office. I'm told you're brilliant, she said. But brilliance without discipline is useless. Can you maintain excellence? Yes, Ma, I promised. I won't disappoint you. She smiled. Good. Because I'm watching you closely. Secondary school revealed new possibilities I'd never imagined. A computer teacher, Mr. Okoro, introduced me to programming. The first time I wrote code that actually worked, something clicked in my brain. You have a natural talent for this, Mr. Okoro said, watching me debug a program. Have you considered studying computer science at university? University seemed impossibly far away, but the seed was planted. I spent every free moment in the computer lab, teaching myself beyond the curriculum. I borrowed programming books from the library, studied late into the night using the school generator's power. By my third year, I was helping Mr. Okoro teach younger students. I'd built a simple website for the school. Other teachers asked me to fix their computers. I was becoming known as the tech genius. But every holiday, I returned to Akpoma. The village looked smaller each time. Nothing changed there, same dusty roads, same poverty, same Chief Okonkwo dominating everything. Emeka had failed his secondary school entrance exam and was attending a lesser school. He avoided me now, the mockery replaced by sullen silence. His father still drove the Mercedes, but there were whispers about financial troubles. Mama was proud but worried. "This computer thing, can it feed a family?" she asked. "Yes, Mama," I assured her. "The world is changing. Technology is the future." I didn't know then how right I was. My final year arrived with crushing pressure. The university entrance examination, JAM, would determine my future. I needed excellent scores to study computer science at a top university. Mrs. Nwankwo called me to her office. "Chidi, there's a special scholarship to University of Lagos. Full tuition, accommodation, everything. But only one student from this school can apply. I'm recommending you. University of Lagos, UNILAG. The most prestigious university in Nigeria. Students from there got the best jobs, the best connections, the best futures." "Thank you, Ma," I whispered, overwhelmed. The preparation was brutal. I studied 18 hours daily, surviving on coffee and determination. Other students thought I was crazy. "It's just university," they said. "Relax." They didn't understand. For them, university was guaranteed, their parents would pay regardless. For me, this scholarship was the only way. Failure meant returning to Akpoma, to poverty, to palm wine tapping. The examination day came. 3 hours that would determine my entire life. Mathematics, physics, chemistry, and general paper. My hand flew across the pages, years of preparation flowing through my pen. When results were released, I'd scored 347 out of 400, the highest score in the state that year. Mrs. Nwankwo hugged me when she heard. "You did it, Chidi. You're going to UNILAG." UNILAG was overwhelming. Thousands of students from across Nigeria, state-of-the-art facilities, professors who'd studied abroad. I was assigned to a hostel room with 3 other students, all from wealthy Lagos families. My roommates were shocked when they learned I was on scholarship. "You're that village boy who scored 347, one asked, not unkindly. "That's impressive, man. But fitting in was hard." They talked about things I didn't understand, overseas holidays, expensive restaurants, designer clothes. They had laptops while I used the school's computer lab. They went clubbing while I studied in the library. One roommate, Kunal, was different. His father owned a tech startup, and Kunal was fascinated by my programming skills. "You're better than guys I know who've been coding for years," he said, watching me work. "How did you learn?" "Books. Practice. YouTube videos when I could access internet." Kunal introduced me to his father during a campus visit. Mr. Adelik was a sharp businessman who'd built his company from nothing. He reminded me of what I hoped to become. "Kunal says you're talented," Mr. Adelik said. "Would you like an internship next summer? Learn real-world software development?" My heart raced. "Yes, sir. I'd be honored." That internship changed everything. It was my first glimpse into the tech industry's real potential. The summer internship at Adelik Technologies was intense. I worked 12-hour days, learning enterprise software development, database management, and cloud computing. The other interns were from expensive private universities, but I held my own. Mr. Adelik noticed. "Chidi works harder than everyone," he told Kunal. "And his code is cleaner too." Halfway through the internship, Mr. Adelik called me to his office. "I'm impressed with your work. I want to offer you a part-time position during school terms. Remote work, flexible hours, decent pay." I nearly fell out of my chair. "Paid work while studying?" "Thank you, sir. I won't disappoint you." The money was modest but life-changing. I could buy my own laptop, send money to Mama, stop worrying about every expense. More importantly, I was gaining real experience while my classmates were still just learning theory. Back at school, I became known as the guy who actually worked in tech. Students asked me for advice, internship referrals, and coding help. Professors noticed my practical knowledge. During one lecture, a professor asked, "Can anyone explain API integration in practical terms?" I raised my hand and explained it using my real work experience. The professor was impressed. "That's exactly right. See, this is why practical experience matters." After class, students crowded around me. The village boy was becoming someone important. In my third year, everything accelerated. I'd saved money from my part-time work and started developing my own mobile app, a platform connecting village farmers directly with city buyers, eliminating exploitative middlemen. I called it FarmLink. The idea came from watching Mama struggle with vegetable prices at the market. Middlemen took huge cuts, leaving farmers with almost nothing while city buyers paid inflated prices. My app would change that. I spent 6 months building it, often working until 3 in the morning. Kunal helped with the business side, connecting me with potential investors. Mr. Adelik provided mentorship and advice. "This could actually work," Mr. Adelik said, reviewing my business plan. "The market is huge. Millions of small farmers, millions of urban buyers. If you can solve the logistics problem, you're onto something." We launched FarmLink as a pilot in 3 villages, including Akpoma. I went home to set it up, teaching farmers how to use the app. Many were skeptical at first. "How can a phone help me sell yams?" one old farmer asked. I showed him. Within a week, he'd sold more yams directly to Lagos buyers than he normally sold in a month, and for better prices. Word spread fast. More farmers signed up. More buyers joined. The app started gaining traction. 6 months after launching, FarmLink had 5,000 users. Farmers across 10 villages were connecting with buyers in Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. The commission we charged was small, but volume made it profitable. Tech blogs started noticing. Nigerian student builds app helping farmers read one headline. Interviews followed. A local TV station did a feature. Suddenly, I wasn't just a student anymore, I was a founder, an entrepreneur. Investors reached out. Small amounts at first, angel investors interested in the social impact. Mr. Adelik connected me with larger venture capitalists looking for promising African startups. In my final year, I pitched FarmLink to a room full of investors in Lagos. 20 minutes to convince them to invest serious money. My hands shook as I started, but once I got going, passion took over. I explained the problem: exploitative middlemen hurting both farmers and consumers. I demonstrated the solution: direct connection through technology. I showed the numbers: growing users, increasing transactions, strong retention. When I finished, the room was silent. Then one investor, a woman named Mrs. Chen, started clapping. "This is exactly the kind of innovation Africa needs. I'm in." By the end of the meeting, I'd secured 2 million naira in funding, about $5,000. It wasn't Silicon Valley money, but for me, it was a fortune. I graduated with first-class honors in computer science. Mama and Papa attended the ceremony, Papa wearing his only suit, Mama in her best wrapper. They looked out of place among the wealthy parents, but they glowed with pride. "My son, the university graduate," Mama kept saying, tears streaming down her face. After graduation, I faced a choice. Multiple tech companies offered me well-paying jobs. Or I could go all in on FarmLink, risking everything. Mr. Adelik advised, safe route is taking a job. Risky route is the startup. "But Chitty, I've watched you for years. You're not built for safe routes." He was right. I turned down the job offers and focused entirely on FarmLink. Kunal joined me as co-founder, handling business operations while I managed technology. We moved into a tiny office in a Lagos suburb, one room with 2 desks, a fan that barely worked, and unreliable electricity. But it was ours. The first year was brutal. Long hours, constant problems, money always tight. Many nights, I slept on the office floor. We ate the cheapest food, cut every possible cost, poured everything back into the business. But FarmLink kept growing. 10,000 users. 20,000. 50,000. Farmers were making more money. Buyers were getting better prices. We were solving a real problem. That's when international investors noticed. A venture capital firm from London reached out. They specialized in African tech startups and had heard about FarmLink. They wanted to meet. The meeting was virtual, my first time presenting to international investors. 3 partners on the screen, asking sharp questions about scalability, market size, unit economics. I answered confidently, backed by data from 2 years of operations. Kunal handled the business questions smoothly. We prepared for weeks. At the end, the lead partner said, "We're interested. We'd like to offer you $100,000 for 15% equity." $100,000. In village terms, that was unimaginable wealth. But I'd learned about startup valuations. That offer valued FarmLink at less than $700,000. We were worth more. "We appreciate the offer," I said carefully. "But our current traction suggests a higher valuation. We're looking for $100,000 for 10% equity." Silence. I held my breath, wondering if I'd just blown it. Finally, the partner smiled. Confident. "I like that. Let us discuss internally and get back to you." 3 days later, they agreed to our terms. $100,000 for 10%. FarmLink was officially valued at $1 million. I called Mama immediately. "I'm a millionaire on paper, Mama." She didn't understand what that meant, but she was happy I was happy. The investment transformed FarmLink. We hired a proper team, developers, marketers, operations staff. We moved to a real office with reliable electricity and air conditioning. We expanded to 15 states across Nigeria. Media attention intensified. Forbes Africa featured me in 30 Under 30. CNN did a piece on African tech entrepreneurs. My face was in newspapers and magazines. The village boy who'd been mocked was now being celebrated. But success brought challenges. Bigger competitors noticed us and launched similar apps. We had to innovate constantly, staying ahead. The pressure was immense, investors expected growth, employees needed salaries, farmers depended on the platform. During this time, I hadn't returned to Akpoma in over a year. Too busy building the company. But Mama's voice on the phone carried worry. "Where are you coming home, Chitty? You sound tired." She was right. I was exhausted. Running a startup meant constant stress, endless problems, sleepless nights. Sometimes I missed the simplicity of village life. But I couldn't stop now. We were too close to something huge. Then everything changed. A massive American agricultural tech company, Agri-Tech Solutions, reached out. They wanted to acquire FarmLink. "We've been watching your growth," their VP said during a video call. "We're expanding in Africa. Your platform, your team, your local knowledge, that's exactly what we need." They offered $20 million. $20 million. The number felt unreal. I'd gone from a poor village boy to potentially selling a company for $20 million in less than 5 years. Kunal was ecstatic. "This is it, man. We've made it." But I felt conflicted. FarmLink was my baby, my purpose. Selling meant losing control. Would Agri-Tech Solutions maintain our mission of helping farmers? Or would they prioritize profits? I called Mr. Adelik for advice. "This is your decision, Chitty. But remember, money isn't everything. What do you want your legacy to be?" That question haunted me. I thought about Mama selling vegetables, getting cheated by middlemen. I thought about farmers whose lives had changed because of FarmLink. I thought about the bigger vision, not just Nigeria, but all of Africa. After a week of agonizing, I made my decision. I turned down the $20 million. We're not ready to sell, I told the agri-tech VP. Maybe in the future, but not now. We're just getting started. Kummel thought I was insane. You just turned down $20 million. Because we're worth more, I replied. And more importantly, our mission isn't complete. We doubled down instead. Used our existing funding to expand faster, hire better, build stronger. Within a year, FarmLink was in 22 African countries. Our valuation tripled. By my 30th birthday, FarmLink was valued at $200 million. We'd raised multiple funding rounds from international investors. I owned 30%, $60 million on paper. But more importantly, we'd impacted over 2 million farmers' lives. They were earning 30% more on average because of our platform. Families could afford school fees, medical care, better homes. That success came with visibility. I was invited to speak at international conferences. Tech leaders wanted meetings. Media constantly requested interviews. I'd become somewhat famous in African tech circles. One invitation stood out. The Nigerian government wanted to honor me with a National Excellence Award. The ceremony would be in Abuja, with the president attending. Mama insisted on coming. I must see my son receive an award from the president, she said. The ceremony was grand, government officials, business leaders, celebrities. When my name was called, I walked to the stage in a tailored suit, light years away from the torn uniform and bare feet of my childhood. The president shook my hand. You've made Nigeria proud, Chidi. You're an inspiration to young people everywhere. As I held the award, I thought about Emeka calling me Bush Boy. I thought about walking 3 kilometers to school in dusty feet. I thought about Mr. Adeniyi's belief in Mama's prayers. Everything had led to this moment. After the award ceremony, I decided it was time. Time to return to Akpoma properly. Not just a quick visit, but a real homecoming. I chartered a helicopter, my first time ever flying in one. As we approached Akpoma, I saw the village from above. The same dusty roads, the same mud houses, but also new things, a renovated school, a health clinic we'd funded, solar panels on some roofs. FarmLink's success had let me invest in the village. But I'd done it quietly, through foundations, avoiding attention. This time was different. This time, I wanted them to see. The helicopter landing created chaos. The entire village rushed to see what was happening. Children screamed with excitement. Adults stood frozen in disbelief. I stepped out wearing sunglasses and a crisp shirt. For a moment, no one recognized me. Then Mama pushed through the crowd, screaming, "My son! My Chidi!" She hugged me tight, crying into my shoulder. Papa stood behind her, tears streaming down his weathered face. The crowd erupted in celebration. But I noticed Chief Okonkwo's family at the edge of the crowd. The chief looked smaller somehow, older and diminished. Their Mercedes was gone. Emeka stood beside his father, eyes wide with shock. Our eyes met across the crowd. No words needed. Everything had changed. The village organized an impromptu celebration. They roasted a goat, cooked jollof rice, and gathered in the square. Everyone wanted to hear my story, touch me, confirm I was real. I spoke about the journey, the mockery, the struggles, the determination. I thanked Mr. Adeniyi, who is now retired but glowing with pride. I thanked my parents for their sacrifices. I thanked the village for teaching me humility. I never forgot where I came from, I told the crowd. Every success, I remembered the dusty roads and hungry nights. That memory kept me humble and hungry. Later, Chief Okonkwo approached me privately. He looked humbled, ashamed. "Chidi, I must apologize. My family, we treated you poorly. We were wrong." I studied him. The mighty chief who'd once dominated the village was now a shadow of himself. Business failures had stripped his wealth. The Mercedes was repossessed. His big house was mortgaged. I forgive you, Chief, I said simply. But not for you. For me. Carrying anger would only hurt me. He nodded, eyes glistening. You're a better man than I ever was. Your parents raised you well. Emeka stood nearby, unable to meet my eyes. I walked over to him. How are you, Emeka? He finally looked up, shame written across his face. I'm sorry, Chitty. For everything. I was a fool. The next day, I announced my real reason for returning. I was building a technology training center in Akpoma, a place where village youth could learn programming, digital skills, and entrepreneurship for free. I want every child here to have the opportunities one had to fight for, I explained. No one should have to struggle alone like I did. The center would have computers, internet, qualified instructors, and connections to tech companies for internships. We'd already begun construction. It would be ready in 6 months. The village erupted in joy. Parents brought their children to meet me, hoping for advice or opportunities. I spent hours talking with young people, seeing my younger self in their eager eyes. One teenager, Ngozi, reminded me especially of myself, brilliant but poor, hungry but hopeless. Can someone like me really succeed? She asked quietly. I knelt to her level. Ngozi, 10 years ago, I was exactly where you are. Look at me now. It's not easy, but it's possible. Stay focused. Work hard. Never let anyone make you feel small. Her eyes filled with determination. I saw the fire ignite, just like it had ignited in me years ago. That evening, Mr. Adeniyi visited me at my parents' house. Now in his 60s, he moved slowly but his mind was sharp. I always knew you'd be special, Chitty. You saved my life, sir. Without that scholarship preparation, none of this happens. My week in Akpoma passed quickly. Every day brought new meetings, celebrations, and reunions. But I also spent quiet time with Mama and Papa, just sitting and talking like old times. Are you happy, my son? Mama asked one evening. I considered the question. Happy? I was successful, wealthy, respected. But happiness? I'm fulfilled, Mama. I'm doing meaningful work. That brings a different kind of happiness. Papa, who rarely spoke about feelings, added, you carry heavy responsibility now. Many people depend on you. Don't let it crush you. His wisdom struck deep. He was right. The pressure of running FarmLink, managing investors, employing hundreds of people, it was overwhelming sometimes. Success brought its own burdens. I won't, Papa. I'll remember where I came from. That'll keep me grounded. On my last day, I visited the old primary school. The buildings were renovated now, painted walls, new roofs, proper desks. I'd funded it all anonymously, but everyone knew. I stood in the classroom where Emeka had mocked me, where I'd studied during lunch breaks, where Mr. Adeniyi had believed in me. The room looked smaller now, but the memories were vivid. A young teacher approached. Mr. Chitty? I teach here now. Because of you, I could afford teacher training college. Thank you. Her gratitude humbled me. This was the real success, not the money, but the impact. Returning to Lagos felt different. The city's chaos seemed manageable now. FarmLink's office was in a modern high-rise in Victoria Island, far from our tiny first office. Colonel met me with updates. We closed another funding round. $50 million from 3 American VCs. Our valuation is now $300 million. $300 million. My 30% stake was worth $90 million on paper. I was officially very wealthy, not just by Nigerian standards, but by any standard. But wealth brought new complications. Distant relatives suddenly appeared, asking for help. Old friends resurfaced after years of silence. People treated me differently, either intimidated or opportunistic. I learned to be careful about trust. Colonel remained my closest confidant, along with Mr. Adelik, who'd become like a father figure. Everyone else, I kept at professional distance. One afternoon, I received an unexpected call. "Chitty? It's Emeka. Emeka Okonkwo." I was surprised. "Emeka. What's going on?" His voice was humble, almost broken. I need advice. I'm trying to start a small business, but I don't know what I'm doing. I know I have no right to ask, but could we talk?" Part of me wanted to refuse. Why should I help someone who'd tormented me? But Mama's voice echoed, "Don't let bitterness poison you." "Okay," I said. "Come to my office next week." Emeka arrived exactly on time, wearing a modest shirt and looking nervous. The arrogant boy was gone, replaced by a humbled man trying to rebuild his life. We sat in my office overlooking the Lagos skyline. He stared around, overwhelmed. "This is incredible, Chitty." "It took a lot of work," I replied simply. He explained his situation. After his father's business collapsed, the family lost everything. Emeka had finished a degree in business management and was trying to start a small agriculture supplies shop in Akpoma. "I want to help farmers," he said quietly. "After seeing what you've done with FarmLink, I realized that's meaningful work. More meaningful than my father's schemes." I studied him. Was this genuine transformation or manipulation? But I saw real humility in his eyes. Sometimes people need to fall before they can grow. "Okay," I decided. "I'll help. But not with money. With knowledge. I'll mentor you, connect you with suppliers, teach you about business. But you have to do the work." Relief flooded his face. "Thank you, Chitty. I'll work hard. I promise." Over the next months, I did mentor him. He proved himself, working long hours, learning quickly, treating customers fairly. His shop started succeeding. Not huge success, but honest success. One day, he called. "Chitty, I just signed up my first farmers to FarmLink. I'm helping them get better prices. It feels good." I smiled. Maybe people could change after all. FarmLink's growth continued exploding. We expanded to 40 African countries. Partnerships with governments, NGOs, and international organizations. 5 million farmers on the platform. Billions of dollars in transactions processed. Then the ultimate opportunity arrived. The United Nations invited me to speak at a global summit on food security. World leaders, policymakers, and agricultural experts would attend. The speech was broadcast globally. I spoke about technology's power to transform agriculture, lift farmers from poverty, and ensure food security. I told my story, from mocked village boy to tech entrepreneur helping millions. The response was overwhelming. Standing ovation. Media coverage worldwide. Suddenly, I wasn't just known in African tech circles, I was internationally recognized. Major publications wanted profiles. The African tech entrepreneur changing agriculture read one Fortune magazine headline. My face was on covers, in documentaries, at conferences. But the attention that meant most came from an unexpected place. The Nigerian president called personally. "Chitty, we want you to advise our agricultural ministry. Help us implement technology solutions nationally. Government advisory role. Policy influence. Chance to impact millions more farmers." How could I refuse? I accepted, adding yet another responsibility to my growing list. Standing in my Lagos penthouse, looking out at the city lights, I reflected on the journey. From bare feet on dusty village roads to advising governments. From bushboy mockery to international recognition. From poverty to wealth beyond imagination. Mama called, as she did every evening. "How are you, my son?" "I'm good, Mama. Tired, but good. Don't forget to rest. Success means nothing if you destroy your health." "I won't forget, Mama. I promise." After hanging up, I thought about what really mattered. Not the money, though it was nice. Not the fame, though it opened doors. Not even the awards and recognition. What mattered was impact. 2 million farmers earning more. Millions of families eating better. Villages getting schools, clinics, opportunity. Young people like Ngozi seeing possibility in their futures. That was the real victory. My phone buzzed with a message from the Technology Training Center in Akpoma. First cohort of 30 students started today. They're so excited. I smiled, imagining those students, probably poor like I was, probably doubted like I was, but now given a chance. Some would succeed enormously. Others would struggle. But all of them now had opportunity. The village boy they'd laughed at had returned, not in bitterness, but in service. Not to gloat, but to give back. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove what's possible. The private jet was just transportation. The real return was in transformation, mine, and hopefully theirs too. I raised my glass to the Lagos skyline, toasting the journey, past, present, and the future still unfolding. The mockery hadn't destroyed me. It had forged me into something stronger. And this was just the beginning.